Hello again. Welcome to this week's Bitcoin mining conversation with the owner and founder of Liquihash, Nic Campesi. How's it going, Nick?
Great. I'm over at the Bitcoin, the mining conference in Austin, Texas, and just first day here kicking off, and excited to just kind of dive in with you today on the state of what's going on in the mining industry.
Perfect. That's like a great time to talk about these questions. So we'll just dive right in. My first question, kind of a really interesting one. One of Argentina's state-owned energy companies is moving towards Bitcoin mining. This is a big move. Do you think we're going to see more of that in the future?
Without a doubt. This is the game theory playing out in real time. Right now, this is just one, and there's going to be more and more nation states that are going to start adopting Bitcoin, but even from a mining, understanding that all the things we've been talking about of the benefits to the production of energy and the capture of waste energy. All of this is going to come, and it's happening faster than I thought. But, Argentina is really interesting. And, funny, I have some contacts down there, and, we've been looking at seeing what can we do down there to kind of move into the space, and it's a little tougher. There's a lot of kind of, antiquated dealings down there, but it's, it's one to really keep our eyes on.
That's very interesting. And goes right into my next question. I think we've all heard that Bitcoin mining is doing well in Texas. Why is it doing well? And can you explain that?
Yeah, why everyone really flocked over to Texas was tied very heavily to ERCOT being deregulated and the ability to go in and make a risk on your future power cost, and make a bet where you want to be, prepaying big blocks of power, through power purchase agreements. It's a very efficient system, and Texas is a pro-business climate. But, I'll tell you this, I'm starting to see already some of these big interconnect agreements. You're going to probably have to be well connected to speed these things along because there's such a backlog. But there's some other states that, really are getting interested right now because they're seeing, hey, we've got good infrastructure and we've got availability of cost effective power generation. Why not us? And once again, it goes back to, talking about Argentina. I mean, this is just game theory, and the states are going to compete for talent, for people to come and invest their dollars. And, if you're going to be able to make it easy for someone to come into the state, then more people naturally are going to come in. And so it's a very simple concept that I think we're starting to see play out in real time with the passing of legislation and just the open arms of saying, hey, come here and create some activity, create some economic activity for us.
And also, a lot of companies are starting to mine Bitcoin with residual gas from their gas wells, which makes sense. But what other types of companies or energy can actually do that?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a ton of things out there that are just incredibly interesting with this. The idea that, hey, if we have gas that is not able to be marketed, we can put it in, quote, digital pipeline and mine Bitcoin on spot with it. And so, there's a lot of people that are looking at, hey, if I produce some kind of byproduct syngas, I can participate in the network as well and maybe get a much higher price than trying to wholesale that or do some other process with it. There's people that have now started the process of capturing landfill gas and putting that into a generator and mining on site. And, that's a ton of opportunity as well. Then, it's crazy. Last night I shook hands with a guy who is looking at generating power off of the difference in temperature from ocean currents. And, so all energy innovation is going to find its way into Bitcoin mining, because ultimately this is the buyer of first and last resort that we didn't have in the past. And it's going to make some of these things like this ocean current concept profitable, because in the past it couldn't be profitable because of where it would happen. It's too hard to transfer the power versus being able to operate one spot and consume that power on site.
Wow. So there's really a lot going on right now. Such an interesting and powerful industry with so much potential. And I read an article, super interesting. I realized only you could probably explain this, but it said that Bitcoin mining power is reaching an all-time high. What does that mean?
Well, what it currently is that we are currently at the highest hash rate that we've ever been, and hash rate keeps going up. And what that means is that more people are deploying miners. And so there's a cycle, is that as more miners get plugged in, the hash rate goes up. And then every difficulty epoch, every 2 weeks roughly, you're going to have an adjustment, which then balances out the block time to be approximately every 10 minutes. So it's this natural concept on top of the idea that every approximately 4 years, we have the mining rewards, the daily reward currently at 900 Bitcoin, that's split between who's finding blocks. Those 900 are in less than 2 years is going to be sitting at approximately 450, or actually not approximately, but 450 every day, plus some transaction fees. And so that right there naturally causes people who are inefficient or running older stuff to eventually power down and upgrade or step out of the market. So the power going up is a function of more people plugging in more miners. And that also coincides with the security of the network that's going up as well, because the network is more robust the higher the hash rate.
That's very interesting. And with that article that I read another one, which was rather odd. I've seen this a few times, but a lot of professionals out there, not necessarily Bitcoin professionals, but other kinds of professionals, fear that Bitcoin mining is bad for the environment. They just say it's not green and it's just as bad as burning fossil fuels. There's tons of articles like this. But first of all, is that true? And what do you think?
Last night we're sitting around and, Congressman Pete Sessions was at dinner with us, and he was talking about, he's seen firsthand what the positives of Bitcoin mining. And when he's like, when you see stuff like this, when they've got all of this bad data that's out there, it's usually some kind of an agenda, and you've got to dig deeper into it. And the reality is that, and this is really crazy, but the idea that Bitcoin is causing issues like the oil industry couldn't be any more false. And I'll give you, just a couple examples. One, is I spoke to a producer the other day about working with him to take some gas. And at the end of the conversation, when you run gas into a generator that's got the proper emissions, that we would go get a permit for, we're talking about 86% less damaging than to the environment, 86 times, not 86%, 86 times less than just typical flaring out venting methane. And so, this is number one. Okay. This is something that is a solution to reduce emissions. But when you start going look a little further at the ideas of, landfills leaking methane, or orphan wells that are leaking. And it's now economically possible to go capture that gas and run it into a generator. And that 86 times less, you could make an argument that the nature of Bitcoin mining becoming more competitive is actually going to cause it to be carbon negative. And I know this sounds, absolutely crazy, and I thought it was too in the very beginning, but it's very possible that in a very short amount of time, like few years, that Bitcoin mining could become, in a sense, like this big capture system of waste methane in the entire world, and truly be a carbon negative industry.
Wow.
And that's something that, is just truly just fascinating to me, and then you look at things that don't really, produce direct emissions like wind and solar. You got some emissions probably in the manufacturing, but, Bitcoin mining pairs up well with those on an intermittent source to, use the excess when it's possible, when it's needed. And, whenever it's, whenever there's not enough or it's offline, the miners just power off. So really cool stuff, and really excited. I mean, almost every day, I hear something that's just like, wow, this is amazing. And I think there's a reason why the top talent in many industries are gravitating towards Bitcoin mining.
Yeah, it really sounds like it's not only the solution, but it's an opportunity for companies to do good and make more money, right?
Absolutely.
Wow, that is amazing. That's the last of my questions I have. Thank you so much for all the insights, Nic. Have an awesome time at your conference. We'll definitely talk again and talk about all the new upcoming ideas and opportunities in the world of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think I'll have some good things to share with you come next week.
Perfect. I'm excited for that conversation. And for everyone listening right now, if you want to contact Nic or learn more about Liquihash, just go to www.liquihash.com, which is LIQUIHASH.com. And we'll see you again next week. Thanks again, Nic.
Thank you.